This is a CBS News special report. I am Nate Burleson with Kelly O'Grady here in New York. We have breaking news in Minneapolis this morning, a report of an active shooter. We are still learning more details about what has happened. Police now say the shooter is contained, but there are as many as 20 injured. There is a large law enforcement response from federal, state, and local agencies.
Now, this happened at a school attached to a Roman Catholic church in South Minneapolis. This was the third day of school, and we are told the Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey has arrived on the scene. Caroline Cummings was first on the scene from CBS News Minnesota. We want to play you the latest from what she learned.
Okay, I am directly in front of the entrance to the school on Garfield Avenue and West 54th, right off of Lindale. Okay. And I have seen children leave the school with bandages on their arm. One child left with a bandage on his arm, raced to his mother for an embrace. It's clearly a very serious situation. We will not speculate on any details. What we know now is what I'm seeing. And what I'm seeing is an active police scene outside of the school. And I have seen two children leave with bandages on their arm. There's tons of concerned neighbors over here. I talked to one woman whose children did not go to this school, but she has a child who goes to Holy Angels. She says that this school, a lot of children go to high school at Holy Angels. It's a feeder school, and that she is just overcome with emotion seeing this happen in her neighborhood, her community, people she knows. It's a really emotional scene here for people who are looking on. I've seen very distraught looking people, potentially parents whose children attend this school. And I have seen police go in and out of the school here, again, at the entrance at West 54th and Garfield Avenue. At least a dozen ambulances blocking off the entire road. And just a very active scene and an emotional one for the parents and the families and neighbors. Yeah. This is something that hits very close to home for a lot of people.
And understandably, you can hear the emotion in her voice. Scott McFarland and Nicole Skanga are monitoring the latest developments from our D.C. newsroom. Nicole, let's start with you. What are we learning?
Hi, Nate. Good to be with you. At Annunciation Catholic School, that shooting began a little over an hour ago, and within minutes, I'm told, law enforcement was on the scene. As many as 20 people injured, although we could see that number increase, at least some in critical condition right now and being transported to area hospitals. I'm told there were children there at the scene, younger than 13 years old, still waiting on what the status is, if any of those young students were among those injured. The male suspect here, we're told by law enforcement sources, has been contained by police, waiting on confirmation that that shooter is dead. We don't know that information just yet, but we're told that the male suspect was wearing all black. He used a rifle, and right now police searching for any additional weapons, any improvised explosives. There is no current threat to the public at this time. But again, very early on in this search by police, and we know that federal law enforcement is responding, both the FBI and the ATF, which are on scene and tracing that weapon, that rifle that we talked about.
Okay, thank you, Nicole. Stay with us. Let's bring in Sam Vinograd, who is a CBS News national security contributor. Sam, what are you learning here? What are your thoughts on this?
Well, my thoughts are that, unfortunately, these entities have established security protocols in the event of an active shooter. So the church and the school would have had plans in place to try to mitigate any damage as quickly as possible. Now, at this moment, if the scene is stabilized and if the suspect is contained, an investigation is underway. That will take multiple routes. First, there will be traces of the weapons used, weapon or weapons via ATF. The FBI and state and local law enforcement will also try to identify the suspect as quickly as possible using fingerprints or any identification the suspect may have on the suspect's person. Once that suspect is identified, they will get a warrant for the individual's residence, the suspect's vehicle, and then very quickly start scrubbing that individual's mobile devices, if any are present, as well as social media. They do want to ascertain whether this individual was in touch with anybody else about the suspect's plans for this morning to ensure that there are no other potential plots underway. We have heard that there is no ongoing threat to the public, but law enforcement is certainly going to want to double check that that is the case by scrubbing the individual's communications as quickly as possible.
And Sam, that's really helpful context because, of course, we are learning these details as they are coming in. The process that you just described, how long does that take? How long are investigators going to be looking at these things? Is it a multi-day? Is it multi-hour from your experience?
Kelly, unfortunately, I've worked too many of these and know that it just depends on the situation. For example, if the suspect does not have any identification on the suspect's person, if there's not a driver's license or some sort of identification, it could just take longer to run fingerprints, to run other what we call biometric identification to try to identify who this person is. If there is identification on the suspect, that'll be a much quicker process, but they want to verify who this person is. From there, getting a warrant should be relatively quick based upon this mass casualty event. It will also depend whether this individual is a resident of Minneapolis and Minnesota, whether this individual resided in another state. They'll then have to get in touch with law enforcement there to try to look at the individual's residence. Is there a vehicle registered to this individual that's in the vicinity? So unfortunately, I know it's unsatisfactory, but it is going to depend on whether this individual has identification on the suspect's person and other factors. But once an ID is made, it will be a relatively quick process, again, to try to mitigate any ongoing threats to the public, to try to identify motive for this mass casualty event. There may be a manifesto involved. We just don't know. So there's a lot of unknowns at this time. But while this investigation is unfolding, and I can say this because I have worked with Homeland Security advisors across the country, the first focus is to stabilize the scene and get medical assistance to anybody that needs it.
Thank you, Sam. With your wealth of knowledge, it helps us understand what is happening and what will happen. We appreciate you joining us. Right now, we have Justice correspondent Scott McFarland, who is tracking all of this from Washington. Scott, what else can you tell us? Are you hearing anything about the families?
Yeah, a few notes from the Minneapolis Police Department, which speaks to potentially the scale, the scope and size of this shooting incident, but also what they're doing for families. They've created a reunification zone at an area nearby the school, actually at the church, where so many of these families go. But there's also this stay-away order from the area you're seeing on your screen. The stay-away order is often indicative of they have to get either more police or often more ambulances to a scene. So they need to keep intersections clear for those types of responders. The school, which is K-8, so these are some particularly young kids, opened on the 25th, which means it opened Monday. They had a mass scheduled for this morning, 8:15 Central Time, so roughly an hour and a half ago, not too distant from the potential starting of this shooting. And at this school, you see the things, Nate, you'd see on so many social media pages this week. Kids returning for the first day of school, very young faces celebrating this first week at school in Minneapolis. And we are on day 3, and these families are now responding to get their kids at Annunciation Church.
Scott, really appreciate that context. We do want to bring you an update. Sources are telling us that the shooter has been killed. And just to recap the number of people impacted, it is as many as 20. At this point, we don't know the status. This happened at a Catholic church in Minneapolis, Minnesota, Annunciation. We do know that that school is pre-K through 8th grade, so young children were on the scene. And, Nate, as these things happen, we know a lot of things, what we do, what we don't know. Yes. It's changing. We never want to speculate. Yeah,
it's changing by the minute. But like you said, they started school on Monday, and they were at Mass, which likely means there was a large amount of people in a concentrated area. The shooter, like you said, has, what we've heard, taken his own life, and then also understanding that the area is contained for the family members and people in close proximity of this school. And just to recap, for everybody that is joining us right now, there has been an active shooter situation in South Minneapolis this morning. Sources tell us that the shooter has died in what is an apparent self-inflicted self-inflicted wound. There are unconfirmed reports of up to 20 victims. This happened at a school attached to a Roman Catholic church. Being that I've been in Minnesota, I live there, I know the people of Minnesota, I know they are resilient, but I do hope that the healing and also the justice follows very soon. Our coverage will continue on our 24-hour streaming channel, CBS News 24/7. There will be more to come on your local news on this CBS station and tonight on CBS Evening News. Many of you will return now to CBS Mornings. This has been a CBS News special report. I'm Nate Burleson with Kelly O'Grady, in New York.